The Miami Hurricanes are making a change at defensive coordinator. Lance Guidry has just been fired.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Miami defense was not up to the Hurricanes standard in 2024, and the DC, now former DC, Lance Guidry, is being held accountable for that. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and writer for Canes County at Rivals. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We're going to be joined in just a second by the truth teller. And boys, it's a great day to have Bruce Warner on. We're going to talk about the Pop-Tart Bowl and Miami losing 3 out of their final 4. I'd like to get Bruce's take on the Cam Ward controversy of not playing in the second half. We'll talk about transfer portal targets, including maybe some renewed interest in the quarterback position after what we saw in the second half from Emory Williams. But first, we're going to talk all about Lance Guidry getting fired, what Mario Cristobal had to say about it, and who Miami might target for their next defensive coordinator job. And Bruce, a lot of people were saying, hey, it didn't happen before the bowl game. Are we going to roll with the same defensive staff? We tried to tell people, hey, after the bowl game, that could change. Yep. It has changed today. Now, I just wonder, how long is it going to take Mario to find a replacement? Because he usually is not that swift with the coaching changes that he makes.
Look, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not going to sit here and say that this fixes everything because that's not even remotely close.
Right.
Usually being fired, I'm saying there's going to be more members of the defensive staff gone. I don't know how they can keep some of these guys. But I don't know. I'm not sure what Mario's looking for. I know he needs a teacher. I don't know if Guidry was a teacher. They need to have. Look, we've said it. There's so many things that are on my mind. I don't know if we have enough time until the end of New Year to do all this. But
well, after today, I'm taking the rest of the year off, just so everyone.
Yeah, me too. But you know what? Remember, we kept on saying, who on the defensive side of the ball improved this year?
Yeah.
So it's not that the defense was so bad. That's part of it. And I thought the schemes. I sent the link to Mark. Caesar may or may not join us. I don't know. But he keeps telling me, and I've been saying it all along, that pass rush stinks. And we keep talking about how they had all the stunting and this and that. Yeah. And there was – anyway, they need to get players that are going to just lay it all out there because a fight on the sideline? Are you kidding me?
I didn't like
what that. What the heck was that all about? So there's so many things. But, again – I don't know who he's looking to get. I still think he likes NFL guys to come down. But the one thing I do know about Mario, he wants stability. He doesn't want somebody to use this as a stepping stone to go someplace else. Yeah. So I don't know who it's going to be. I know Mark and some of the other former players, and maybe the fans don't want this. They want Randy back because Randy's not going anywhere. If he comes here, he's going to be here until either he gets fired or whatever. I don't know. I know Randy personally. All of my former player friends do. But I know he wants somebody that really wants to be here and that's a teacher and that's someone like Kevin Beard.
Yes.
He's the perfect guy. They need somebody like him who's very hands-on, not a braggadocio personality. Look at me. But they need somebody that is these kids are going to rally around and has the brains. I'm not saying Guidry's stupid. I really didn't see many adjustments at all.
That's the problem. Not enough adjustments and so much regression from last year.
Yes.
And I know some of the personnel was different, but the defensive backfield regressed a ton from last season. Certain players like, Kiko was not the same guy this year as he was last year. Ruben Bain was not the same guy. I know injuries had something to do with that, but he wasn't the same guy he had last
was like
year.
Invisible.
Yeah.
He was invisible for the most part. He had a true freshman be their best DB. Are you serious? Yeah. I mean, at the end, he kind of fizzled a little bit. But, as I've told you, and a lot of the guys we've had on here, that defensive front four is the key. And after the first game or two or three, wow, were they a mess. Just a mess. And again, Bain wasn't even in those games. Barron came in like a house of fire, and He totally disappeared.
He regressed during the year. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still think Messidor may come back.
That's one of the things,
because
Bruce, that I had in my notes
was
today.
Defensive tackle. What is he going to show the NFL? Those films, they were terrible.
Messidor hasn't declared yet, and there is some growing buzz that he may come back for another year. And I like what you said, Bruce, about obviously firing Lance Guidry. I mean, I think it's probably right to hold him accountable. It doesn't automatically fix anything because you have to go out and make the right hire. But here's a statement Mario Cristobal released today after firing Lance Guidry. This is from the head coach. He sent the statement out to the media. I want to first thank Coach Guidry for his contributions to the University of Miami in a continuous effort to always improve all aspects of our program, Mario said. I have decided to make a change on defense. We will move forward and make decisions that provide our players, staff, and program the best opportunity to win and develop at the highest level. So that's what Coach Cristobal said. And Bruce, I want to take a look at, again, why I feel like this move had to be made, because, again, the results were not there on defense. Miami had a good start to the non-conference schedule. You look at the points given up in games against ACC opponents this year, Bruce. 34 points given up to Virginia Tech in a game where, Cam Ward had to play Superman in that one, despite the defense. 38 points given up against Cal. Same deal. Cam Ward had to mount a huge comeback. 45 points given up against Louisville in a shootout win. Only 14 given up to Florida State, but, they couldn't score in a brothel with a fistful of hundreds. 31 points given up to Duke. 28 points given up in a loss to Georgia Tech. Just 14 points given up against Wake Forest. Not a great opponent, but that was better defensive performance. 42 points given up to Syracuse and 42 points given up to Iowa State. So again, like those numbers given up, like, thank God you had Cam Ward as your quarterback, or you're not winning nearly anything close to 10 games.
Not to mention, Alex, look at all those blown leads they had. They had 2 touchdown leads against Louisville. They had leads, and almost every game they lost, they had leads, except maybe Georgia Tech. But they blew leads, and it, just like Mario, like, he played offense expecting to be able to stop the other team, but for what? They can't. They didn't. And you had a coach like you have no defense at all. Look, Mario's got to be blamed for this too, because
absolutely.
As I said all along, how do you stop this offense? Well, the defense learned nothing from practicing against these guys for 4 months. What did they learn? I mean, what were they making great defensive plays in practice? And then in the games, bad angles, poor tackling, guys wide open. I mean, come on. So it's on him too. And you said listen, I'm going to be real blunt, because I'm the one that said in week 6 or 7, I made that speech about everybody needs to thank him for what he's done. He's turned his program around. Guess what? I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. And and I'm not going to take everything he says as the gospel. I got to see it now. I have to see it to believe it. I don't know who he's going to bring in as the coach. I'm no scout of coaches, defensive coordinators, but I feel deceived. I feel disappointed. I feel defrauded. I'm not happy. He talked about the direction that they were 9-0. They're 1-3 as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, they still, though, like, they still went from 5 to 7 to 10 wins.
I'm not arguing with
they still did that. They still did that. Yeah, they won 10, like winning 10. I know we're all sour about the way the season ended, no, as I am as well, but they still won 10 games. That's something. It's not
right.
Nothing.
But again, when you look at it from up above, they could have been 7-5, 6-6, 8-4. I'm not. You can't play the woulda, shoulda, coulda game, but I'm just pointing these things out.
If they would have or could have made a couple more defensive stops, they could have been 12-0.
That's true. Which was, to me, it's a house of cards, because it was I think they would have gotten destroyed in the playoffs. I just do.
Probably. I mean, well,
they didn't even make the ACC championship.
No, I know. I mean, I feel like they probably would have given up 50 points in the playoffs, but they would have scored 40 something. Is the way that I see it. Like, they're 3 their 3 losses were by a combined 10 points. Like, they were in every single game this year. They just couldn't close games out.
Right, and they have to. There's things they have to fix. They have got to get some of these guys more improved in the next 6-8 months. Guys like Justin Scott.
Yeah.
He has to play, and he needs to get. He has to know he's going to play. Last year they brought in a bunch of DTs and whatever. They can't do that this year. I think they got the one guy. What's his name? Blay.
David Blay. Yeah, the
Okay, they got him, but Scott's got to play. Moulton's got to play.
Oh yeah,
that three right there.
Artavius Jones. He
and
needs
Artavius
to,
Jones.
Yeah, he needs to become a factor.
But
too.
he's not. As far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't be a starter yet. He needs to get his feet wet.
Yeah.
But they have work they have to do. I think they have to decide what they're going to do with Bain. Are they kicking him to the inside? I don't know if they are. If they're going to keep him in the outside, he has to get in much better shape than he's been. And if Mesidor stays, then you know what? That's not such a bad foundation to start with. But, I'm going off track a little bit because we want to talk about Guidry. But, I don't know. The one good thing about somebody coming here as opposed to another school is Mario's not going anywhere. So no coach coming here has to worry about, I don't know, my head coach might get fired. I'll be here 1 year and I'm gone. Yeah. That's not the case.
Yeah, he's entering year 4 of a 10-year contract. So, there's
whether it's 10 years and he's only here 2 or 3 more, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So that's a big deal for someone who's going to tell their wife and their kids, we're moving to South Florida to go coach. Oh, they're a losing pro. No, I think that's stability.
Yeah, well, I
get somebody who I want an X and O's guy too, someone who doesn't just stick to what he wants to do and no changes in the game. Come on.
Well, I want to talk when we come back about kind of because I think that this time around, I think you need to go somewhat big here. I mean, I don't think you can gamble on someone coming from a G5 type of school. I think you need to get someone proven, which means I think you're going to have to make a significant investment financially in your next defensive coordinator. So I want to talk about a couple of names that I've heard circulated over the past several weeks, a couple of new ones that have been brought up today, and if there are any internal candidates, someone who may get a promotion. You guys want to keep it locked right here. We got the truth teller with us. Great day for a Truth Teller Tuesday. It's almost the end of the year, by the way, so happy early new year. You want to keep it locked right here. We're nowhere near done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. My friends, did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, which is so convenient, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, even the goals you want to hit this year. It's almost a new year, guys. What timing? Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel things I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for our future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thank you so much for making this Truth Teller Tuesday Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. In case you're just joining us, Lance Guidry, defensive coordinator, has been let go. Mario Cristobal released a statement about it. We talked about it earlier on in this episode. He thanked Guidry for his work at Miami, but talked about an opportunity to upgrade and bring in the best possible candidate. And Bruce, a couple of names I had been hearing thrown around, over the past several weeks. A couple of former head coaches who are trying to sort out wrongful termination lawsuits. Pat Fitzgerald, who's the former Northwestern head coach, tons of experience as a head coach and a coordinator. He was kind of scapegoated for a hazing scandal there, and he's been suing Northwestern for wrongful termination. I wonder, and this is speculation on my part. Like, none of these people I've interviewed, or this is very fresh, this opening, but Pat Fitzgerald is somebody I've been kind of on the lookout for. I also wonder if Mel Tucker, former head coach,
another guy involved. Listen, as far as Fitzgerald's concerned, I always thought that he did a lot with very little.
Yeah.
if you ask me my opinion, I don't know him. I didn't really follow Northwestern, but they won some big games, and they were something 5-7, 6-6, 7-5. I always thought he did a lot with very little talent. So I don't know, because I hadn't really followed him. Tucker, I don't know. You know, he was a hot item for a year, and then they just fizzled out. He brought in all those transfer portal guys. I don't know about him. Listen, I'm not a judge of that, so keep going with the names, but it's really Mario's comfort level. He's got to find a teacher. I'm assuming that Fitzgerald is the teacher. Maybe Tucker too. Could very well be.
Well, here's one. I don't know how realistic of a candidate this. I hope it's realistic, because again, if Miami makes this guy a big offer, maybe he would listen. But I saw they threw this one out on 24/7 Sports. Tyler Santucci, who's the Georgia Tech defensive coordinator, who did a great job against Miami this year. I mean, that we were out schemed, I thought, on both sides of the football in that game.
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row we were out schemed by them.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So Tyler Santucci, I wonder, you know, how happy he is there, if he might consider a move.
Well, he also knows the ACC.
Yeah. And there's another name that's been thrown around in the past, because I remember before Miami ultimately hired Lance Guidry 2 off seasons ago, one of the names who I believe interviewed for the same job 2 years ago, he's a former Miami Dolphins linebackers coach who's with the Green Bay Packers now. Maybe he misses South Florida. Anthony Campanale, who, you know, I covered him a little bit when he was with the Miami Dolphins, and I know Mario has liked him in the past, so maybe he could kind of renew that and he's interviewed for the job before. Someone else, Bruce, I think you remember him as I do, who coached at Miami many years ago, Clint Hurt.
Yeah,
he's currently the defensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a defensive line coach under Randy Shannon, a little less than 20 years ago at Miami. That's another name that people are starting to throw out there.
Yeah, I think there was some scandal or something happened with Clint, and he moved on from that. I don't know what Mario thinks about that. Mario's looking for somebody that can teach, that motivates, that's creative. You know, it's, you know, again, here's between you and me and all our viewers and whatever, it's kind of hard to judge whether these players are good enough. I don't care if Vince Lombardi was here, you know, or Bill Parcells. I don't know how good these guys are, because we saw so much regression, and we saw so many bad defensive schemes and the angles and the tackle. We've talked about that. I don't know. That whole thing has to be fixed. Like I said, you could name anybody as the head coach. I don't care who it is, unless they could find the right players. They got a few in the portal, right?
Yes.
We're having trouble getting the kid from Wisconsin. We may have to wait until the second portal.
Yeah, well, he may. I mean, if he sues them, which he might, Xavier Lucas, you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be able to get free before the spring, but yeah, we might, like you said, we might have to wait until the spring, because honestly, I know these Wisconsin fans are like, well, serves him right. He signed a new NIL deal, and then he tried to turn his back on it. It's like, none of what you say matters, because no matter what the circumstances are, compliance department at Wisconsin is required to put him in the train. If they feel like something that they don't like happened, that does not stop them from, they are still required to enter him into the portal.
And so you know what the stupidity of it is, as an attorney or whatever, who in their right mind is going to want to go to Wisconsin in the transfer portal when they're screwing around with this kid?
And the other part,
you don't think that affects that? You're not.
Well, and with Wisconsin, like a lot of programs in that part of the country, like they were trying to establish inroads with South Florida high schools.
Yeah, good
this
luck.
Guy went to American Heritage.
Yep.
Like, good. If you want to burn the American Heritage pipeline, good luck to you, Luke Fickell.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is more than just that. This is a long-term effect. So they're really stupid for doing this.
Yeah.
Really stupid.
Okay, going back to DC's last thing, and I'm sure we're gonna have a lot more potential names, and we'll find out in the coming days who might interview for this gig. Would you, Bruce, put any thought into promotion from within? Derek Nicholson, who Miami likes, and I think they're going to want to retain D. Nick. Even I guess if you bring in a new coordinator, maybe he'll want to bring in his own people, but I think D. Nick is somebody Miami would like to retain. He actually had a co-defensive coordinator tag this year.
Right.
Would you entertain D-Nick? And would you entertain Jason Taylor maybe getting a promotion to defensive coordinator? Or do you think it's too soon for that for him?
No, it's too soon for him. It may be too soon for Nicholson. I like Derek.
I like them both. Yeah.
Oh, I like them both too. I
Yeah.
just don't know. I think Mario really has, I don't know, I shouldn't say it like this. In this today's world, a gun to his head, but he's got to get the right guy.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing now a slippage in his credibility. And he's got to stop the bleeding. He's got to find somebody that really is wow, we got this guy. Wow, and so I think he's got to do that. And then, of course, there has to be discussions with the new person. So he can't wait a month because that person's got to tell him, listen, I don't care what you tell me, Mario. This guy's coming with me, and this guy's coming with me, and this guy's coming with me, or else I'm not coming. And you got to make a decision on your own staff because I'm telling you, I'm not letting these guys stay here. I didn't like any of them. Now, I don't see anybody saying that about Jason Taylor. And
right.
probably not about D-Nick either. But the rest of the guys, I think the DB coach is probably history.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that was a Guidry guy because Chevis Jackson used to work with Guidry at Marshall. So, put two and two together. Yeah, it's probably.
And I also don't expect us to bring in too many portal guys from Marshall anymore. We kind of got burned.
Yeah.
But again, Mario's. I'm sure he has a list, and let's be honest, all of us knew this weeks ago that this was going to happen. It didn't come as a big surprise.
That's right. You're right about that. Yeah.
So they must have been in the back room someplace figuring out who has an interest because he can't wait another couple of weeks to do this.
No. Yeah.
Right? Because he still got the recruiting. There's guys that can opt out of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So he's got to make the right hire. And it doesn't have to be somebody we all know. Oh my God, we got him. Wow. But it has to be somebody that has a tremendous history at a high level, either the NFL or these D4 guys that are been around for a while. Maybe somebody from a staff that's already out there still in the playoffs. Could be.
Well, and that I kind of wonder about that for quarterback as well, because I want to shift our focus to the offensive side of the football. I want Bruce's take on how much the level of urgency at the quarterback position has raised based on the second half. Everyone's talking about the first half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but the second half was not the most encouraging of auditions for
and I fell for that too. And I have people texting me and Facebooking me about Emory, and I wrote the guy. I said, "What do you know? You're not a coach." But you know what? They were right, and I was wrong. We watched him in practice, and
he practices like I'm still a little baffled by the way he performed because he practices well, and I know 30 minutes should not make his entire audition. Like that one half was not the total make or break, but it was definitely concerning. And you know what? Miami's only going to have 3 scholarship quarterbacks anyway. So no matter what, they probably need to bring somebody in. We'll talk about some possibilities when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We got the truth teller with us. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Guys, make sure for your next listen, you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs and I from Locked On Wolfpack, we host that show. We take you all around the lack of bowl and postseason success the ACC has been having. We talked about the Cam Ward situation not playing in the second half. So make sure you check out Locked On ACC, available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. So, Bruce, Miami does have some transfer portal visits setting up, not with any quarterbacks at this moment, but they are going to be hosting TCU center James Brockermeyer after the new year, after the dead period ends in a couple of days. Miami's received some crystal ball predictions to land him. Miami's going to be hosting.
He's coming here. We'll get him.
I think he's coming here. They're hosting Tulane tight end Alex Bauman, who's a very good inline tight end who can catch some passes. They're also going to be hosting a linebacker on Friday, UTSA linebacker Martavius French, who's a very highly touted player. He's visiting on Friday. He was the leader in linebackers nationally with 17 tackles for a loss this year, 80 total tackles and a sack for the Roadrunners. So we could be looking to add some linebacker depth. As far as quarterbacks go, Bruce, I've talked about it over the last couple days. Like it's slim pickings right now in the portal, but keeping in mind,
do you have any names for that?
I do have some names for that.
Oh, see, I'm glad I asked you.
I do. So, okay. Just entering the portal yesterday, reigning FCS Player of the Year, South Dakota State quarterback Mark Gronowski is in the portal. Now, I know, buyer beware because you're talking about someone with FCS experience, but it's been very good at the FCS level. 61% of his passes complete, 2,721 passing yards, 23 touchdowns. He rushed for 380 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. He's had a really good career for the Jackrabbits. He's
How about picks? You didn't say picks. How many picks?
Let me look that up. I only wrote down the good stuff.
Okay.
Hold on. I'll circle back to that one. And also, here's another quarterback with a lot of FCS experience and a little bit of FBS experience. Bruce, did you know there is another Washington State quarterback who has just hit the transfer portal? So Miami missed out on John Mateer. That ship has sailed. He's off to Oklahoma. But just hitting the portal today, or maybe late last night, Washington State quarterback Zevi Ekhaus, who he started the Holiday Bowl against Syracuse because Mateer had already left, and he played well, 31 for 42, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he played very well prior to Wazoo, and he was handpicked by former Wazoo offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, who's now at Oklahoma. I doubt Ekhaus goes to Oklahoma as well. We'll see what happens there. But Ekhaus is someone who had a really good FCS career prior to getting to Washington State.
How many years of eligibility do you know?
One year, I believe, left of eligibility, or it might be 2. I'm not sure about the COVID. I think he's got 1. I think he came after the COVID year, so he's got just 1 year of eligibility left. He is a little smaller, though, 6 foot, 200 pounds. But Bruce, maybe going by because Ben Arbuckle used to be the evaluator of Washington State quarterbacks. Maybe you take any guy he recruited because they all seem to be working out pretty well.
That could be, but you know what? I think if they bring in someone like that, I believe this is going to happen. If they bring in the 1 year guy, Emory Williams is out of here. They go with Judd Anderson and Luke Nickel, and I don't care who they bring in here. I believe that Luke Nickel will be given a shot at the starting job, no matter what.
I agree.
Because if he's that good, why put him on the bench? He'll get experience. No use redshirting him. But if they bring in a guy like that or somebody, like if him or somebody else, then Luke Nickel will play some. He won't burn his red shirt unless something happens. But he gets his feet wet, and he's the starter the year after. No questions asked. We're done. That's it. At least that, because I don't believe Judd Anderson has the upside. He's a big kid. We've seen him practice. I don't know how mobile he really is.
He's a little mobile. For his size, he can move. He's a former basketball player.
Right. I'm not going to count him out. But this Emory Williams thing, I don't know. Again, I'm not a quarterback guru. I don't know if come spring he turns it all around and he turns out to be great, despite what happened 3 days ago. I don't really know. But his pocket presence was, and his looking at the receivers and his reads, wow, was he slow?
Yeah. It was discouraging. I expected him to do a lot better. He had a lot of passes broken up at the line of scrimmage. There were a couple drops that kind of worked against him, a couple passes that could have been caught, but still, it was not. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was not a good performance. So yeah, I mean, I think at the very least, there's going to be an open competition. And I think Miami needs to look at bringing in somebody. Now, could it end up being a bigger fish, Bruce? Because, there's still there, despite the fact that he said he's going pro, there's still some speculation that Carson Beck from Georgia could end up doing what Cam Ward did last year and opt, because he hasn't signed his NIL or his NFL agent yet. So he still hasn't forfeited his eligibility. I don't know.
I thought he did not have a good year, injury or not. Yeah. I just thought he did not have a good year.
But it's still, but at this point, I can't sit here and tell you he, wouldn't be better than Emory Williams though, after what I saw. So, I mean, there's that.
I got it. Mark said I didn't send him the link. I sent him the link.
We're going to be done soon. So tell Mark to watch it on YouTube.
Well done. Yeah, but are we going to do another one?
I don't know. I don't know if I have the energy. I woke up. I woke up before 5 a.m. today because I was guest hosting the
Yeah,
Joe Rose
I know,
show.
but
I
there's so
need my
much to
beauty
talk
sleep.
about.
I know there's so much to talk about. All right, so I don't know if we've completely shut the door on Carson Beck or if he shut the door on playing one more year in college. I don't know what he's being told privately by NFL people, but a lot of the public stuff isn't the best feedback for him going pro this year. Maybe he's being told something different.
I thought Ewers had a good game for Texas.
He did.
And I don't know
so
if he's going to go pro now,
Yeah.
or if he's going to stay. Because if he stays, I don't know if he's going to start.
Well, yeah, because if he's like Texas doesn't want Arch Manning to sit on the bench for a third straight year. Like they're ready to start the Arch era.
I think he would say, you know what? If this guy's coming back, and I think Arch is in. So I think Ewers is going to be out. But does he go to the NFL? He made a lot of mistakes during the year, but he had a damn good bowl game. That's the playoff game.
Yeah. So any final thoughts? So this is, we'll talk more about quarterback stuff throughout the week as well. Cause again, like, and I know people have been calling me a hypocrite and all that because I'm allegedly flip-flopping on Emory Williams, but that was not a good 30 minutes. And so I am more open to pursuing quarterbacks than I was a couple days ago. And I say that despite the fact that I think Emory Williams is capable of much better than he showed on the field this past week, but it is what it is. Like he put some bad game on film there. But any parting shots, Bruce Warner, just in case, because we were thinking about doubling up today with 2 episodes. I don't know if I have the energy for that, but if not, we will do something later in the week.
You do have the energy because, it's the end of the year. You could sleep late tomorrow.
I can't though. My kid's going to be up at like 7 no matter what.
Give him some what do you call it? Mucinex nighttime. He'll sleep for a lot longer. My parting shots, plural. I'm not going to take anything that Mario says as the gospel anymore. I'm going to sit back and wait and see. I'm sorry. It's how I feel.
Yeah.
Just how I feel. That'll make a lot of people happy, I'm sure. Because I've been just so in his corner, but I can't be like that anymore. I watched too many bad things happen over the 3 years, and the lack of so many things has concerned me greatly now. Obviously, we got to get some more. We have to get some more players. We've got some guys in the portal, some DBs, some young kids coming in. Haven't seen them play it down. Don't know. Am I excited about next year? Not really. I'm kind of, you know what? I'm kind of sour on this. They let me down. The Yankees let me down. And, they went out and they let Soto's with the Mets. They got a bunch of good players, the Yankees, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just give up on sports and I'll start playing badminton.
You can't blame Mario for the Yankees. I mean, that's not fair.
I know. It's just my overall going into next year is like, I think my attitude now is like, who gives a?
Yeah. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to end up finding a quarterback that excites us and a defensive coordinator that excites us. And just when we thought we were out, they pull us back in. That's going to happen. I'm telling you.
Well, that's the wish and the hope. I just don't know. But all I'm telling you is I don't care who they get. Show me. Show me. I want to see it. Because we talked about when they won those games early and, but the bottom line was that defense didn't get better. They got worse. And that frightens me. How do you practice like this and not go to the game and not make any adjustments? And remember the game? Remember the Wake Forest game? They destroyed them. Why? They went straight up the field and they destroyed whatever plays they had in the backfield. Then they didn't do it again. They didn't do it against Syracuse, and they didn't do it the other day. Stunting all over the place. For what?
Yeah. Well, I
hope quarterbacks look like Heisman Trophy winners.
They did. They made a lot of them.
Yes,
I mean, they made all of a sudden Fernando Mendoza is like he's an NFL guy now, and a lot of that had to do with us.
Right. That's my point. Who the hell could I can't even curse, but who the hell is he?
He's now an Indiana Hoosier is who he is.
Yeah, he's a Hoosier now. All right, well, whatever. But he made a lot of money off of us.
He sure did. Oh man! So
and the kid from Boston College is going to Florida State. Let's see.
I mean, people
happy
are.
New Year to all you guys. Happy New Year.
Castellanos at Florida State. Like people are all complaining about Cam Ward not playing in the second half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They should use some of that energy on Castellanos, who He quit on his team after the 8th game. He's just like, I'm out. Sorry, Boston College, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like, people should be talking about that. They had 4
Well, the
games
Ward thing, which we didn't get to talk about, to me, that bothers me greatly. If you're going to play, you're playing the whole game. I don't know if it was Mario's call to say you're playing a half and I'm watching Emory Williams. That's for him to find out. But people that pay money to go to those games, people that watch it, people that are invested in this team, that stunk to do something like that. People are rooting for the team and this kid doesn't play. You told all these people he's playing. He said, I'm playing. And then you make a deal to pull him at halftime, and thousands spent a lot of money to go up there to watch them win, and he doesn't play. That's wrong. That is dead wrong as far as I'm concerned. I don't hear whose fault it was.
Yeah, I mean,
And it was Mario's call to tell this kid you're not playing the second half. Hey, man, I want to play. I'm sure he wanted to play. He must have been biting his tongue.
I mean, I would have liked, if nothing else, if he could have played that final drive, because we would have won.
I texted you and I said that.
We would have gotten it if we would have gotten it to field. Like, there's no question we would have gotten into field goal range if he played the final drive. But listen, I know for what, like, Ward didn't have to play in that game, period. I was happy I got to watch him for another half, and he was electric. And I think on the flip side, probably was important to see a half of Emory, because we learned something. I mean, it wasn't good, it was bad, but we learned something about that. But
the third quarter, I could see it. Maybe the beginning of the fourth, but once they realized he was struggling, because they had 28 points at halftime, put Ward back in the game and let it ride with him again for the final time. Let him be given a chance to pull it out like he's done all year long. They didn't do it. So I think that's Mario's fault, and I don't like that decision at all. It just makes me have a real sour taste about how much he really gives a damn about the fans.
We need to get this right for 2025, because I want to see the truth teller smile again. That's all I want in 2025. You're not smiling. I want to see you smiling. You're not smiling. That's all I want next year.
What's there to smile about? We were 9-0.
We will talk to you guys again next time.
We were 9-0.
Huge thank you to Bruce Warner. I love it. Bruce Warner does an awesome job. Thanks to you guys. Make sure you smash the like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe the audio version, guys. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. And we'll talk to you next time. Happy New Year,
and stay healthy, you guys. No accidents tonight.
Please.
Be careful.
Find a designated driver or stay home. Take public transportation, Uber. Do whatever you got to do to stay safe out there. We'll talk to you guys next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.